Hello, everyone. This is Shelby Tuck Horton, Vice President for Education for Association of Bridal Consultants. I am here with Lee Cumbry. He told me to say it that way. He is from Texas, and he said there's a slight accent, and I can only use my little DC area accent to say it the correct way. But I have a short bio before I turn this over to Lee. Lee is the go-to business coach for ambitious event business owners. Through keynotes, self-leadership workshops, and one-on-one coaching, he equips organizations to enhance communication, cultivate team satisfaction, and achieve tangible gains in productivity and profit. Lee's coaching is underpinned by his credentials as a certified professional coach and an energy leadership master practitioner, complemented by his ongoing pursuit of Enneagram professional certification. His entrepreneurial, I'm sorry about that, his entrepreneurial acumen is further evidenced by his successful venues in the event staffing and recruiting industry, having built and sold Alexander Staffing and Genuine Staffing. Please welcome Lee Cambry.
Yay, y'all. Thank you so much for that introduction, Shelby. And thank you for all the silent but visual claps. I appreciate it. I got to see them all there. I am so excited to be here with y'all today. And I want to say, first of all, thank you for being here and also for you being in the place of being able to unveil your freedom formula. I am going to help you find and master the three roles of a thriving wedding business today. And I want you to have the business that you're proud of. The first step is to step into roles with clarity so you're never questioning if you're doing the right thing. And so that's the point of what this is. But more than anything, I want to just address that we are here with ABC, and networking and meeting other people is a relevant part of this. So please share where you're from, your company name, and what you do there. That will help me to understand who y'all are and for you to get to know each other in this community. And while we're doing that, I want to go over guidelines for this workshop. The first one is when you have a question or a share, please do so in the moment. It's so great to have a live understanding of how you are receiving this and if I'm missing something. Shelby has already said that she will keep an eye on the chat for me as well in case there is anything. Also, just be aware that if you come on or you accidentally unmute, Shelby will be able to mute you by, turning the mute button on for you. Don't take that personally. If you intended to unmute yourself, it's just to make sure that we'll be able to see each other and hear each other okay. In terms of questions, there are no right or wrong questions, nor are there silly questions. The only bad questions are questions unasked. So I do want to get to questions. And definitely, if you have a longer one, feel free to write them down. And then I am happy to stay at the end and do a Q&A. And also, if it's okay with Shelby, I want to be able to release you on time. But if you want to stay past and it's okay with Shelby, I'm okay to stay on afterward. But either way, you can always email me, and I'm going to be able to give you my email on my website. So that way you can always reach out to me offline as well. Do know that if I do any kind of coaching with you, I will always do my best to point out words or phrases that are holding you back, because the language of what you use matters and it represents who you are. Also, taking notes is a great way to download the information. And I'm also going to give you an opportunity to download the slides at the end of this, should you want them, so you can write them down. But also, I'm going to give you a chance to already on your own get a chance to download what we're working on today. So that way you will have a copy of this, and then you can just already go home with everything that we are talking about today, and you'll be able to review them yourself. And that will give you a way to go, all right, everything we learned today, you got a visual understanding of what it is. And that should make a big difference into your learning. I am still a big fan of writing things down. So if you can write it down, it just helps you. Now these days we're just typing instead of writing. And writing makes a big difference if you can write it down. So I still am biased that way. So if that is something that you're interested in writing it down, I encourage you to do that because it makes a difference. Now, you can call me old school in that way, but I still think it's a big deal to keep things written. That's my own bias, and I'm sure there's other people that are like me in that way. I know I can't be the only one that's like that. So I also want to, excuse me, my voice. I also have water here just in case this would happen. And sure enough, here I am with some water. So excuse me for 1 second. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And sorry, my notes right here. So we've gone over that. We've gone over that. I want to talk about downloading. Taking notes is a great way to get information. Also, I just want to say from the top, if you're considering additional coaching from me, I am always happy to meet with you and give you a one-on-one example of what it will look like to work together. That is an important part of just understanding how this could look like, how this could work, is sitting down and going, okay, this is what coaching looks like. So I want you to be open and prepared that if that is something you want, I am down for it. It is a great way to understand, grow, and learn your business is by meeting with me one-on-one. So I'm more than happy to do that. Also, to get my attention, click the react button and click raise your hand. And so if I can get a visual or if I miss it, Shelby can chat me and let me know that that's going on. And like I said, use the chat. It is a great way to connect with others. We have a lot to go over today. And so what I'm going to do to begin with is share my screen so you can start to see all of this. So let me click the screen share, and then I'm going to ask y'all to confirm that you can see it. All right. Y'all should be able to see my screen now. Can
You're
you
good.
confirm? And there in the chat, that's great. Oh, I actually need to do one quick unshare and reshare because I forgot to click one button here. There's that. Yep. There we go. Now, there we go. Okay. So y'all can still see my screen. Is that right, Shelby?
Yes.
Great. Fantastic. And also let me just get that chat open so I have that ready to go in case. Great. Awesome. Well, I'm so glad y'all are here today. I'm curious, what about the topic got you here? So go ahead and put it in the chat. I also want to assure you that you're in the right place if you love your job, but you wish you didn't have to bring so much burnout along with it. Oh my goodness, wedding events are real. Having worked events since 2008, I get it. Oh my goodness. You're also in the right place if you want to be able to delegate without fear of reputational damage and the need to micromanage. You're in the right place if your goal is to have a business that scales and you dream of doubling your revenue. We're going to talk about that too. What else? I'm here in delegation. That's right, Rashandra. I am all about that. Learning about the various business hats. Gene was saying for continuous improvement because I am all about that. You know, there is never a time we stop learning. And in the world of business, innovation is a big part of staying in business. So continuous improvement is a part of it. Oh, Kylie, I want to grow my business and then let it sell itself. The more you understand how you're showing up in your business is going to allow you to then transform it into the business you want it to be. Continual strategies to improve workflow. Oh, I got a lot of those. You know, part of what I get to do for a living is hawk best practices. So I just am learning from everyone else, going, guess what I learned? I'm a professional helping other people do that. Avoiding burnout, please, Tyronica. I am with you on that. Let us all avoid burnout. Because here's the truth. You've already started your business and you're ready for next level strategies. You started the business because you're someone that was passionate about it. And so how nice would it be to have best practices from other super successful businesses and just take them and incorporate them into what you're already doing? You're closer than you think. It's just about utilizing the strengths that you already have. And let's talk about some of those strengths. You're someone who knows how to be of service and have a client focus. Because, hey, that bride and that groom, and maybe the parents are not going to let you not focus on them. And you get that. And that's why you stay in business. Another skill you already have is you know how to prioritize. It's golden hour outside and it's photo time. And grandma needs to pop into the restroom. And the caterer is also at the same time going, hey, I need that final count right now. You got to make a choice. And you know the answer is talking about grandma because that sun's going down and you got to take care of that. That caterer can wait. Prioritization is already a big strength of yours. And then, of course, events are on the stress level of trying to balance the impossible. And that's why all of us could run a small country. It's those kind of skills that we do that just managing chaos and the public that allows us to be really talented enough to run the Vatican. Am I right? Y'all have got the skills. And so our journey today of what we're headed toward is that there are going to be three roles that are happening in every business. And I'm going to talk about that so you can understand that. How to effectively manage your business. What does it mean to be the manager in there? We've already talked about this being something you're interested in is delegation and what that looks like. How can I be a better delegator? And then one of my favorites, the roadmap for significant growth. And truly, this is the exact system I walk my clients through. I know you're going to find value. And I'll be sure to give those of you inspired by the chance to meet with me to discuss that if you're a fit at the end, so you can understand what those next steps would look like. A little bit about me, just so you can have some context here. My dad is a pastor. My mom is a counselor. And I'm the kid that was going to Barnes& and Noble and I found the self-help section and I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. And so I would just sit in Barnes& and Noble and read that. And so whenever I found out that life coaching was a thing in 2011, I said, sign me up. Oh my God, I'm so into this. Oh, this is my home. 3 years prior, though, in 2008, that's when I started working in events. I was doing catering in New York City, working for multi-million dollar catering companies, catering for the wealthiest of the wealthiest and understanding what this looked like. And I just started as a waiter. Within 3 years, I was running events for these catering companies. That was the same year I got my coaching certificate. And then 2 years later, an owner asked me, hey, Lee, do you have any staff that I could use? I need some extra staff for my catering company. And so I looked at him and I said, yes. And bam, I had founded a company. And so from there, I was like, I got this. I'm going to start a company and just sweat going down my forehead. And so at the beginning, I was hodgepodging together what Alexander Staffing was, but I didn't know how to run a business. I didn't know what that would look like. And so I hired a business coach pretty quickly because I wanted to do it right. And bam, again, at that point, a second bam, I started doubling my revenue every year, all the way until last year when I replaced myself as CEO. I moved to becoming on the board of my company. And then I sold it last July. Why? So that I could do this business coaching thing even more. I love getting to help other people in this way. And so the company became a distraction. And now I get a chance to get out there in a big way. And a little more about me, just so you know, I have two cats, Timberlake and Shazay. They're both asleep right here, but at any point they could make a debut. So get ready if that happens. And I apologize for you non-cat lovers. Who doesn't love cats? Come on. They're fun to at least look at. How about that? I also love Enneagram. I could talk about it all day long. It is my favorite personality system. It's a 2,000-year-old wisdom tool that I have never found a better system of helping people understand themselves. And that's something I require all my clients learn about themselves because I find it so impactful. My mission is to help people like I was helped. And so I hawk best practices for a living while supporting business owners so that they can grow in a smart way. Why try hard when there's already best practices out there? You know what I mean? You are in the perfect place right now to learn those best practices. Honestly, the best time to learn is yesterday. And with that, let's get into the first lesson. The danger of not knowing the three roles in your business is being busy, but not growing your business. You're making moves, but not making progress. It might sound familiar, especially when your business hits a ceiling of revenue or year to year you have the same amount of customers. Because being busy is not the same thing as being successful. It's about what you're busy doing. The reality is, all people in business are wearing one or more hats, and we can break them down into three different types of hats. There's the maker. This is the doer, the technician, the one that's just completing this stuff. There's the manager. This is that role whenever you're managing people, teams, and departments. And then there's the visionary, the one driving the car and choosing the direction. But keep in mind, solopreneurs wear all of the hats. And if you're not aware of when you're wearing the different hats, you're going to get trapped. But let's talk about each of these hats in more detail so you can understand. First of all, the maker is the doer. So in the event business technician world, this is the one that is completing the tasks, the florist arranging flowers, the photographer editing photos, the planner bringing the champagne to the bride and groom. All of those are the doer tasks. For me, I was doing the do for my company whenever people would hire my team and I would physically walk over to the events to check my staff in and then leave. That was me doing the do as part of my maker role in my business. Then there is the manager role. With that, it is everything about managing teams. And this also requires some tools you need to make sure your teams are on target, such as creating systems, handling your finances, managing the team, contributing to the bigger picture is the idea here. So there is a still doer part of the role of what you have to do, but there is also a let's look at the big picture as well. So you're in this middle ground between getting things done and looking at the big picture. In the event industry, organization and efficiency are crucial because you need to be very fast paced. And so other ideas of manager role kinds of tasks are your run of show. When you're doing your run of show, you're kind of giving a system of the day to people. Or whenever you're texting or slacking your team, that is another version of making sure you're communicating to everyone. Having clear job descriptions for all of your team. And then also whenever you have CRMs such as Salesbook, HubSpot, or Honeybook, those are all tools that the manager would use. And this has everything to do with delegation, which we'll talk more about later. Finally, it's the visionary role. Woo! This is where vision, where strategy, where innovation and networking comes in. And listen, innovation, like I've already hinted at, is a huge part of your job. You've got to stay ahead of trends. In New York City, Creative Edge Parties was one of the first companies I worked for here, and they were really good about staying ahead of the trends. Now, I'm sure y'all all remember or have seen or still work with chafing dishes, those rectangular metal dishes with lids with sternos underneath, and they look the same. They all just have the same look. The owner of Creative Edge Parties, her name is Carla Rubin, she was tired of that. And she was like, there's something here that we can change. And so what she ended up doing was hiring a designer full time to design gorgeous buffets for her events. And everyone started to use her company because, wow, they were standing out. They innovated in a new way. And so it is very important to identify new markets, but innovation is never done because within 5 years of her having a full-time design person, 3 other competitors did the same thing. And that's why innovation is a never-ending visionary kind of task. You've always got to identify new opportunities in the wedding market. For photographers, that might mean, okay, I'm doing a wedding business. But then what? After they're married, what's next? Well, weddings lead to babies. More photos there. Babies lead to family photos. Family photos lead to graduations. And so there's a lot more opportunities with the family in the lifeline of the business that maybe you started at the weddings, but there's just so much more after that. So have that vision be a part of what you're looking at. Have the strategy of how you're going to go forward with your business. Always be innovating and always be networking. Network with your vendors and clients because you've got to keep moving forward. So that's the maker, the manager, and the visionary. If you have any questions about those roles, please feel free to let me know, raise your hand and/or in the chat, and I'll be sure to address them. The trap with these three roles is getting stuck in maker mode. This is the most common pitfall. And, actually, I want to tell you a little haha. I had AI create this photo. And if you remember, my little hat that I had for this was a baseball hat. And so I was like, hey, AI, help me create a person that is a wedding planner who is in the like too much in the maker mode. And AI, without my direction, put on the maker hat. And I was like, perfect. That's exactly what I want. I want to show that if you wear the maker hat and that's all you're doing, if all you're doing is the do, you're going to be putting your fingers on your head like that and wearing that hat metaphorically. Whenever you're wearing the maker hat, that's what leads to burnout. That's what leads to the lack of scalability. That's what leads to the inability to delegate. And all of those lead to plateaued income. And so the trap is becoming aware of how often you're working in the maker hat. With my clients, this has been a big aha moment. And I want you to meet Jessica. She's a very talented wedding photographer. You're already seeing the first bullet of one of the results of that, what I'm about to tell you. Very talented wedding photographer in Ohio, who not long ago was doing everything herself. She was wearing that maker hat. Oh, I should have had a maker hat in this photo. That would have been funny. She has a great reputation, both for customer service and photo quality. And she hired a team and they were doing the best that they could given their skills, but she constantly had to correct them and get them into place. And she also felt guilty for enforcing her standards because she wasn't perfect herself. And that naturally led to imposter syndrome. And so once she started learning the 7 parts of the business and the 3 roles that you need to master her wedding business, she realized, okay, here are the successful best practices of any business. And she started to realize, okay, this is me as the CEO. I'm not just a talented artist. I also own this business. And she woke up to the cost of being liked over being effective and understood that clear standards are what are necessary in her business. And that if she continues to wear that maker hat, then she is going to be the one solving all of the problems. So once we got the maker hat off, put on the visionary hat, talked about where she wanted her business, and then got the manager hat on when she's at work, she now truly leads as a CEO. And as a result, she's raised her prices 3 times. She's increased her take-home revenue by 50%. And to me, the most important, and this could be a win on its own, she went from working 60 hours a week on average to 40 hours a week on average, which is huge. That by itself is gold. I mean, just think about that. For her working less hours and making the same amount of money is already a win, but she also increased her prices. And this had everything to do with understanding the 3 hats of business. Here's something to think about. You can have control or you can have growth. You can't have both. So keep that in mind as we talk about what might be next for your business. So we talked about the maker hat, and that's also a necessary part of business. We all got to wear the maker hat at some point until we hire enough people to do it for us. The next hat we need to talk about is the manager hat. The game here is to shift away from maker time and move to more manager and visionary time as needed in an appropriate, strategized way. And so let's talk about what the manager time looks like when it's done right. The first is established systems. If you can establish the correct systems in your business, then you can walk away knowing that other people are going to be taking care of it for you. And this includes having templates. This includes using CRMs. And most importantly to me, reports, reports, reports. Because whenever you can see what is happening in your business through a monthly or quarterly report, you can always know the health. And it goes from, I feel like my business is okay, to I know my business is okay. Okay. Why? Because I have data, I'm tracking it, and I can just check it off and I can prove it. I can prove it with numbers. Reports are everything. Queen Tanya, thank you for this question. Why do you say that we can't have both? Can you expound? I'd be happy to. I already forgot the context. Can you either unmute and or write more of what was my context? How did I say it? What did I say you can't have both on?
It was like being perfect or something, or like having, I was like 2 slides ago, and it was like, you said you can't, how total control. You can't
Oh, thank
control.
you.
Yes, yes.
Thank
I
you.
love
You can't.
control. Can
I
you
love
tell?
it. And thank you,
Oh,
Susan. Controller
thanks,
growth.
Susan. Yeah.
This is so me. I'm so in the moment that like 2 seconds ago, I'm like, what happened? What did we just talk about? Thank you for that. You can have control or you can have growth. And the reason is as you grow, there's going to be other factors that aren't you. Control is the implication of control is all of your actions because I can't control any of the people who work for me. If you want to be a solopreneur forever, then truly you could have controlled growth. But often growth comes with the unexpected and it comes with fear and it comes with risk, all of which is a good thing. So that's the idea. If you want to control, you still could have growth, but at what pace?
So how do you then like let that go? Like my biggest fear is that I mean, with these people like working for other people and spitting on people and punching people and telling them they're not getting on a plane, like I would be ashamed and embarrassed if anyone on my team behaved like that because we have an extremely high standard of excellence that they all know about. And I don't think that any of them would, but I've seen them get like stressed and stress the client a little bit. So now I'm like, and after seeing these 3 incidents and the customer service dip, I'm super concerned about that. So, like, how do I let go and not be so majorly controlling about every little aspect? Like, did you talk to the client? Did you do this? Did you like babysitting them
Yeah.
so hard that I
Yes.
can't get on to anything else because I'm grasping so tight to what I already have.
Yes. Queen Tanya, thank you for this
Very nice
question. You're
soul.
giving me such a good segue. We are going to be talking about delegation in 2 slides, which is really the core of what you're talking about. And funny enough, my very first keynote, at the end of the keynote, the Q&A was 20 minutes of delegation and other people that are not me in the business. You are spot on to one of the most common event business questions, especially because the CEOs slash business leaders slash all of us, we care. We care so much. Our job is to hold the care for the wedding, the most important day of my client's life. And so for you to ask this shows how much you care. So already I am receiving what a great business you hold for your clients. And I'm just, they get the right service. We are going to get there in 2 slides. So thank you for this. So another part of management that is relevant in terms of these systems, these templates, these CRMs is using technology. And I'm about to show you a little bit into my brain here. I use Active Campaign, and one of my secrets is it's 2025, y'all, AI and automations. This is an automation I created behind the scenes in Active Campaign that drives contact deal rot, as I call it. Ain't nobody getting away from me because my system is going to remind me every 5 days, hey, you haven't heard from this person. Hey, you haven't heard from this person. Hey, just following up. This was my solve for all of those clients and or really prospects that I had contact with at a certain time, but then I forgot because life got in the way. And then 6 months later, I'm like, oh, that's right. I forgot about this ideal client. Oh, I could have had her as a client. Oh my goodness. Not anymore because of these automations. This made all the difference. And so management, most of all, as Queen Tanya and I were just talking about, is how to master delegation. There's a right way to do this so you can grow intelligently. Because listen, first of all, you had to learn through trial and error. So why wouldn't your team need that too? So the thing with delegation, first of all, to understand is that failure is necessary as a part of growth. The reason y'all are so good at what you do is because you failed and you failed and you failed and you failed, but you grew and you grew and you grew and you grew and you got better and better and better. It is about certainly minimizing the amount of failure, but you have to start by creating a work environment that is not about perfection, but instead a space for learning. And so the first part and exercise to ask yourself when you're trying to master delegation is think about what the last mistake you made. When was that? And what did you learn? And what if you had never learned this? It would have happened eventually at some point anyway. So what's the answer here is systems. Systems teach. You don't have to be the main resource. Let your manuals do it for you. Because the truth is, everyone in your business will eventually leave. They're going to quit. They're going to get sick. They're going to pass away. They're going to move. They're going to change fields. They're going to get fired. They're going to get promoted. There's so many reasons. This is why you have systems. You can't depend on people to be your systems. You need written out systems because everything you do is actually a system. It's just stuck in your head. And so turn those repeatable tasks into documented processes, onboarding guides, checklists, email templates. When I work with clients, I help them to get the stuff out of their head onto paper. And listen, ask yourself, if you had to train someone to do it like you, what's the first thing you'd have someone do? And that's the first step of your system. Because another part of this is your value. If you don't teach your values to someone else, they're going to use their own in the business. You've already proven yourself, so your values are working. You're someone that really cares about how you do things. So it's important that you teach them how you think. Otherwise, they're going to have to resort to how they did it. And so you have to communicate them to everyone, including your contractors. You need to make sure that they know because their job is to represent you. And if you're not clear as to what your image and values are, they're just going to be making it up. If unbeatable kindness is your number one value, does your team know your expectations for client communication? What are your top 3 values? And does your team know them by heart? This is a great question to be asking for yourself. And then this leads into, okay, how do we hire then? Who are these people that we hire? Your team is crucial to the success of your business, and this includes the contractors. And so here are some of my best tips here. Hire slowly, fire quickly. Take your time interviewing people thoroughly before you add them to your team. But then, if they're not right, get rid of them. And listen, if you hire the right team members, they will be able to follow your instructions and match your vibe. That is their job. is to be able to follow the systems you have. And so the important connection to this is to hire for the role. Do not find it for the person. Oh, I like this person. I'm going to create a role for them. That's doing a disservice to your business. It's about creating the role that you need that is a dream role for what your business needs, and then finding the right fit for them. The question I always ask here is, and actually, instead of are you, who are you keeping around just because you like them? Now, the reason for all of these management pieces is actually because of this little sheet of paper I keep right next to me, right here on the bulletin board. How well you lead gives you the freedom to leave. This is what motivated me to keep up the work and to help people with their life as well. Because I love vacation. I like to get away. I love what I do, but I also like to have a little bit of fun on the weekends. And so this is my way of making sure that when I leave, my business is going well right. It's all of these management tasks. Up next, we're going to go through the roadmap for significant growth, which might be the most important. But first, please write this down. Behind every high performer is a powerful partnership. Artists and creators, yeah, they're solo. Oh, but yes, they also have editors, collaborators, and mentors. CEOs, they're the top of their game at the top of their companies. And they have advisors, they have boards, and they have trusted lieutenants. Athletes, look at those stars who have coaches, trainers, and nutritionists. The person at the top might be the one where the buck stops with them, but they succeed quicker through the wisdom of others. And so if you take away one thing, know this: you can be the leader and have the business you deserve and dream of simply and clearly. You've already done so much well, and there's more to learn. And so that's why I also do one-on-one coaching with people, because that's what I needed. This was a growth part for me. My job is to help inspire people to be more fabulous than me. And I do this by helping people spend time confidently on their business. I help them delegate efficiently and effectively so that way you can scale. I help you raise your prices and your profit to earn what you deserve, because you deserve to have the business of your dreams. I want you to meet Beth Danziger. She owns Groove Labs in Austin, Texas, which is an event production company, and it provides entertainment and production for events all over the country. And she was the biggest maker of all. When she joined Groove Labs, she was the salesperson, and she hustled to bring in those sales. Very busy day to day, and not sure about her ability to run a company, but she was nailing it with sales. And when COVID came around, she kept the business alive and thriving. It was easy to fill her days, but the management was not as much of a focus. It was all about maker, maker, maker. And so once we started working together, we kept the conversation going of, look at your hats. You are doing lots of maker and you're doing some manager, but there's not a lot of visionary, partly because it hasn't been something you've ever experienced before. And it's in sights, but it doesn't feel like it's yours. Well, long story short, she increased Groove Lab sales by more than 100%. She has since bought Groove Labs from the previous owner, and you are looking at the new CEO of GL Events. And her job is constantly innovating and moving into new states even. That's the power of working on what your roles are. On my website, I have a one-on-one section right here, but you don't have to worry about getting there because I have a link on the next page here, but you can just see my name.com. That's the easiest way to remember this. It's leecambry.com. So that's where you can see everything. But here is actually a code you can scan if you want to book a discovery call with me. And so in that call, you will get an opportunity for us to triage your business, and then we can talk about what the treatment plan is. And then I'll give you time to decide if you want to work with me or not. The only note I want to say is, if I had a billion spots, I would have a billion spots available. Because I just sold my business last year in July, I went from having a half open practice to a full open practice. So I am currently right now, May of this year, in the place of I have a lot of spots. I have exactly 4 spots left. That's what I have. And so by all means, I'm looking for 4 more people to support. Once I have the 4 filled, then I'll have to start a waiting list. But I am 4 away from being too full. I can't do anymore. So I just wanted to keep that note there. And as a bonus for anyone that is signing up by today or by Friday, I will offer 50% off the coaching. You can see my rates on my homepage, but I will give you 50% off forever as long as our engagement is if you sign up for the call. You don't have to sign up for the coaching necessarily, just register for the call by Friday, and then I will keep this commitment to you, 50% off the coaching rates. For the final section is the roadmap for significant growth. Because how do you become that visionary that you want to be? So let's talk about what the visionary time looks like. This is the time you get to dream about what you want your business to be, what that mindset is to be the true CEO, and really to be in the big time strategizing place. Because if you are constantly doing the do and being the maker all the time, that's how you stay in status quo, or you're so busy controlling that the growth doesn't happen because your focus is on all of the day-to-day stuff. Having visionary time is crucial to grow. And so what does that look like? One is setting what I call the YFN goals, which is the year from now goals. I always have this, and I have every client I work with do this, which is to set, okay, it's 1 year from today. What do you want to have accomplished by then? And this is informed by the bigger 10-year strategy that we create together. Another part of this is weekly planning and daily planning. The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, which is by Stephen Covey. This is a primary tool, and again, something I live and breathe by, to be successful in your business. To know each week how much time you have available to work, and each day to know which tasks are there that you're actually going to work on and accomplish. And like I said, every successful business person has a partnership. It requires more than one. That's why I still have coaching sessions for myself from my business coach, because I need someone to hold me accountable as well. It is not something that we can do alone. And let me tell you, during coaching sessions, that's guaranteed visionary time. Because that's not going to be time you're going to be doing the maker stuff. During the coaching sessions, when you're going to be talking about all of this visionary stuff. The benefit of knowing each role is taking back your time to spend on better, more prioritized work. You offer economic value in the world of business. And what I mean by that is you have a dollar sign of your economic value over your head. Now, this is not anything to do with how God sees you, how I see you, how your friends see you, how your partner sees you. This is just the economic reality of us living in a capitalist culture and us having businesses. And so what I find to be so important to do is to do a time log to understand what your activities are each week so that you can track your time. And so one of the activities I do with clients is my Brilliance Time Mastery Framework, where we unpack what it is you do, which hat you're wearing, and how to implement 2 meetings each week that allow you to wear your manager and visionary hat consistently. The question we're asking is, how much are you paying to do a maker task? If it's higher than what you could pay someone else to do, it's time to delegate it. My client Megan wore her maker hat all the time, but just last month, she hired an assistant. And guess what? For her, that means no more financials, no more admin, no more details, and she gets to focus on her gift, which is sales. And the role that only she can do, the visionary role, which is big picture ideas, the vision, and where she's headed next. That's the power of understanding your hats. Next up, we're going to be able to do a hot seat coaching moment for any questions or a Q&A part. But let me pause here and ask, how many of you have had at least one takeaway from today? Just by a raise of hands or in the chat. I'm seeing some hands there. At least one takeaway. That's awesome. I love that. What I'd like to do here is I want you to take your phones out right now and hold your camera to this next QR code, or if you're on your computer or on your phone, I'm going to include this in the chat. I am a big person on feedback. And so either enter that link or do the QR code, and I would love to hear what you liked so I can do more of it, and what you didn't like so I can better serve folks like you. And as a thank you, you're going to get a copy of all these slides. Plus, that QR code for that coaching discovery call with me will also be in there if you'd like to explore what that looks like. And so what I'm going to do right now is put on a 2-minute song so you'll have time to complete it right here, right now. And then we'll do some Q&A so that we can answer some specific questions right there. And then I'll also look through the chat and answer any questions if I haven't done that. And then when you're done, you can just type done in the chat. So that way I also know that we are ready to move forward. So I'm going to play this song for 2 minutes. If you're still writing, go ahead and continue as I go to the next slide here. The question that I want you to answer for yourself is, which hat are you wearing the most? And does it make sense? And are you okay with how your hats are being worn? And so here are the different ways to understand which hat you're wearing. Which category has the most check marks? Which role are you avoiding? Which hat do you need to wear more often to get the results you want? As a reminder that this is also going to be in the slide, so filling out that form allows you to get this slide as well, because I know there's a lot of content on here. The thing to remember is you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And this is because you will, as you grow, be dependent on others. And everyone that works with you should support you right. Because you can have goals all day, but without systems to support you, that's when you hit that ceiling because you're only one person. And so with that, I'm here for any Q&A for anyone to answer any questions of what came up for you, and actually also any takeaways that you might have as well. Let me know if you have any questions or you want to talk about a specific situation, or if you have any takeaways of what you did today.
We have a few more minutes, so if anybody is interested in asking a question, please do so.
I see, Michelle, you have a question. You can go ahead and unmute yourself and or type it.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hi, Lee. When I started my business, I started it right before COVID. So anything that I had 2020 was pushed to 2021. So I officially didn't really start working until 2021. I'm a certified event planner. I got certified in that, and I'm a certified wedding stylist. So the designing, the colors, the decor, all that. I am stuck doing day of coordinations, which I'm very grateful for them, but I don't want to do them all the time. I want to be the full planner. I want to be the stylist. I want to hire someone to do the day of coordinations for me. And also, I keep getting all of them that are over an hour away from me. I want to be doing stuff closer to where I live. And there's these other event planners that I didn't know were around when I started my business, and they're getting all of those jobs. And from what I know, they don't even have the certifications. They don't have any of that. So I feel like almost like I waste time and money doing these certifications when they're not helping me get the work that I want.
I hear you. Oh my goodness, that is so real. First of all, congratulations on starting a business and getting
Thanks.
going. But
Thanks.
A, that. B, kudos to you for working. Doing what you can at the beginning. It is a very common and understandable, and everybody knows what I mean when I'm about to say here. At the beginning of your business, you sometimes are doing jobs you're not wanting to do
Right.
until you get the opportunity to say no.
Right.
And that is a great learning tool in terms of like, okay, great. Now I'm understanding what it looks like. And so that next growth part that really helps is understanding A, the target of where you're going, which you're sharing with me. You're like, okay, I know where I want to be.
Right.
And B, creating the strategies to move forward. Now, already I want to pause and just say what I'm not saying here. I don't care what other people think about or how they're living or how they're doing their business. It is none of my business how they're doing their business,
Okay.
unless it's something I can take and use for myself kind of thing. But if they're going to be the uncertified ones, or they're going to be the ones winging it, or they're going to be the ones just skating by, not my business.
Okay.
What I care about is my strategies. And in terms of growth, what I recommend to any business owner is have your 4 to 6 marketing strategies that are like a well-oiled machine that are going to get you the clients you want. And out of those 4 to 6 strategies, number one is always referrals. And that's
Right.
both from old clients, great clients, previous clients. But also don't forget people asking directly for, do you know anyone that is, in our case, gonna get married soon? And finding out and filtering through those people to see if any of them are your ideal customer.
Okay.
But then methods 2 through 6 are establishing the best methods in your market for how to connect with and get the right types of customers.
Right.
And hint, the best way to get the right types of customers is find out where they hang and not try to create it yourself. And so gathering around other, let's say, for example, one of my clients who wanted to do destination weddings, and she was looking to do them in her market was in Florida. She wanted to get into New York. She kept hanging around organizations that were already gathering people in New York so that she would have a contact in New York, all of these hotels that would refer her the business,
Okay.
for example. And so gathering them became her number two that she leveraged heavy. But let me just pause here. I'm saying a lot of different things. What's coming up for you as I'm saying all that?
No, well, I'm writing it down. I mean, I'm not the greatest at marketing, so that's one thing that I have to continue to work on. But I see what you're saying with the referrals. I mean, I do get a lot of referrals. They're just more day of coordination jobs. But I do, I do work. I do an expo at the venue that I got married at because I love it, and you have to bring everything in. So you need more planning, you need a stylist, you need all of that. So I do the expo there every year in hopes of getting someone. So I'm hoping like this year was a lot more activity. So I'm hoping that I get some things from that. I just did it a couple weeks ago, so I'm hoping to hear from that. But I understand all the points that you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, you said a ding 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 for me, which is the marketing.
Yeah,
Our jobs as business owners is to be professional marketers. Our job as business owners is to be doing the majority of our time spent on the economic tasks. And that could mean less education, less training, less improvement, and more money, 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 because money's great. And so having to do whatever it takes to get more of it, to get in front of more people, to get in front of more prospects so that you can get more yeses
right.
is the game of marketing.
Okay.
Does that resonate?
Yes, yes. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Absolutely. Other questions?
Do
We
you,
have we have time for one more.
I was
Susan.
just gonna ask if, I like what you said. I like basically everything you said, but specifically about systems. And, in my line of work, besides coordinating weddings and events, is in facilities. So we call it standard operating procedures, SOPs. I think
Yep.
it's the same thing or
Yep.
similar. Do you have a template that you use, or do you refer people to any type of forums online? I just started to use Chat GPT, and I'm older, so maybe that was a delayed reaction compared to other people. But do you have any thoughts on that, or is that wrapped up in your coaching?
I absolutely offer every one of my clients a way to do systems in the way that I like to do them, because for me, I'm like details. I want it to be perfect, kind of thing. There is one thing that I want to just highlight, like the meta answer is there's no such thing as right or wrong in business. We're all making it up as we go along. That said, best practices show for repeated ways of doing things. And so I can just verbally even tell you what some of these things are going to be, which is to have a title of the system, the last time it was updated, and the reason for the system as the three main headings. And then underneath that are the action. Now I use a table, actionable sub-steps in column 1, so that anyone reading it goes first step in the first box, second step in the second box, third step in the third box, and these have to be actionable steps for the title. The next column is notes, anything they need to know to make those steps. And then the third column is optional if it's multiple people that use that system, saying what position is responsible, because it might be 3 people using the same system. But this allows it to go find the system title and then step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. Now, that's the biggest thing I'm going to say. The second thing I'll just say is look up Scribed. I'll put it in the chat. It is a AI. It watches you it creates a manual for you. If you're like, okay, this is what you need to go here on this app, click here, you need to go here and click this, you need to type this, it will do that for you. So it's like the most efficient way to make an SOP kind of thing.
Oh, good. I think I've heard of Scribe. Thank you so much.
Of course, of course.
Lee, we are at 1 o'clock, and I like to let everyone get back to work, and some people are on their lunch hours. So if you all want to connect with Lee, he has all of his information right there. I want to thank you so much for joining us, for sharing all your wisdom and insight. And I am going to cut the recording off. So if you all want to say thank you to Lee, because he's been a ball of energy and a wealth of information. Hold on.